Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, the New Order, the Last Days of Europe, me, Alpha Pi Omega, and Empire of Japan. So in the last episode we managed to get our House of Peers support to 47.5%, meaning our government stability is at 49%. And right now we're trying to spar with the populists for a little bit more public support. We'll hope that it's gonna work. After which we will go with crossing the lines. We'll increase our support in the House of Peers using a propaganda campaign to offset the hit of 5% we will get from this event. So the actual result is going to be the increase of action power of reformists by 2.5% and increase in relations with all other factions by 2.5%. So we'll see what that's going to do for us. The game is telling me that we've lost some production units. Okay, well that is fair. And let me see, do we have... I haven't done any upgrade recently. Might want to do something like that. Global training centers. Modernized department, cryptology. Decryption, cryptology. Decryption power. Agency infiltration. Well, these are all interesting, but okay, let's go with anti-guerrilla activities. These are all interesting, but the issue we have there is the fact that we do not, and I repeat, we do not have enough agents to actually do anything sensible, so we're just spying, basically. That's all we can do. Either way, it is what it is. So we're gonna continue doing that and be happy about it. So let's start with the populists. How's our poverty? I don't even want to look. Okay, the increase has slowed down to a crawl. Academic base is actually increasing nicely. So is administrative efficiency. Deficient administration. Okay, so we're gonna get extra stability. Daily political bargaining. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. If we could get it to a decent spot. Wow, monthly 2.67. Okay, that is actually a pretty good one. Didn't we have functional administrative system? I think we had. Is it? Did we lose it? But I didn't see the drop so dramatic. So I have to check. I didn't think about checking, but that would explain why we're in such a deficit now. Ejército Oriental Boliviano declared war on the Republic of Bolivia. Santa Cruz invades Bolivia. The Bush War and the collapse of the Paraguayan regime have rippled across the South American continent, and its fallout has been seen most clearly in the former puppet government of Santa Cruz. One might think that losing the support of their overlords would deter the Croenzo separatists from making any bold moves, but General Hakkō Banzai today has decided to roll the dice and launch an all-out invasion Bolivia. I guess on Bolivia, with the intention of unifying the country under his leadership, perhaps with the isolated Paraguayan First Corps, as well as whatever militia forces he could muster with him. Banzer may just be able to win a stunning victory. Okay, so Bolivia has what? 4 factories and 75k. You get 62k and no factories. Well, it's gonna be a risk, but it is fairly close. So we finish upgrading our units. Yeah, this is not working. I kinda hate that. That's not working. Okay, we finished 2 destroyers, which we need for this. And that means we can finally turn around and start looking at you. The Tsukuba class. Do we have any... Do we have any more Tsukubas, or is it just any more ships than the Tsukubas. Or no, we get only 64 Tsukuba class. So those are ideal candidates for upgrades. So if we find the Tsukuba cruiser here, we upgrade it. But as we said, no upgrade to the armor, just a light attack and a light piercing. I'm thinking if we took away the twin anti-air and gave it anti-air missiles, that would actually be a bit more useful for you, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's take out the anti-air and give you the SAM batteries. You get anti-ship, ship-to-ship missiles, okay. Radar, fire control system, SAM battery, secondaries, light attack and light piercing. Okay. Okay, so this is a bit more of a refit that I like. So 1965 Tsukuba class. And we'll start with the extensive upgrades, because the Tsukubas can be upgraded 17,248. Jesus. Well, we'll have a lot of those being upgraded very soon. So that's gonna keep our dockyards busy for at least some time, which is good. Decisions available, yep, I am aware. Okay, no changes in government stability or House of Peers support, so we seem to have reached an equilibrium, which is good. Okay, we could decrease the public. I could use the public too, well, but I don't want to. I'll just make sure that we get over 50% and we'll be happy. Okay, some of our Air Force obviously finished its drilling, so that's good. Here we have Tokyo. Actually, do all of our carriers now have their air wings? I believe they do, don't they? Okay, so you do. Yep. So what about you? Okay, also, that's good. Fort Kantai. Nope, you don't. Okay. So we can add more to the Fort Kantai, so that they are prepared when it comes down to it. Okay, like so. So you got one jet fighter and one coast. So 10 and 10, 10 and 10. We need to drill these guys too. 10 and 10. They're all green. So let me just take this navy, send you out to sea, and have them drill. Okay, that's looking pretty good. What about the other ones? Have you guys drilled your Air Force? I think you did, that's why you are... Yep, that's why they are... Let's see, so you can go back. What about you? Yep. Okay, so you can go back to Hawaii, and that leaves just the 4th Kantai as the last ones, and you don't even have carriers. So that does it. Nice. Okay, how many production units did we gain? 1. Okay. So we're slowly improving everywhere. with the exception of our economy, which is just barely afloat. But we'll deal with that, don't you worry. Okay, so national focus as part of the populist is finished. And we can now go with crossing the lines, because we'll have enough political power to do that. These are invisible boundaries, lines drawn in the soft volcanic soil of Japan, meant to keep a respectful distance between commoners such as our Prime Minister and the honored members of the Kazoku. Many of these lines existed when there was no Kazoku, and the nobility enforced them at sword point. Now even more lines exist to isolate the House of Peers and defend its role as the impartial overseer of our policymaking. For the sake of Japan, these lines will have to be crossed. And what is this event? A friendly joust. The sound of wooden kendo swords clashing filled the air in the Kyoto Budo. Today, the Center for Martial Arts is hosting a special guest. Prime Minister Ikeda has come down from Tokyo for several days of friendly jousting and fraternizing with the Kenkyukai's populists. Ikeda is accompanied by Sato Eisaku, who has also recently developed a renewed interest in the finer things in life. Ikeda, you're up next. Don't get your old bones broken, eh? I assure you, Sato, these old bones haven't seen their twilight. The announcer calls for Ikeda's name, and Ikeda puts on his protective armor as he heads down to the ring. Gentlemen, the round begins in 10 seconds. Ready your swords. The cries in both men's kiai and ritualistic steps before striking echo through the hall before Ikeda's opponent lands a point through a strike on his chest. Point 1 goes to the populist. Ikeda must renew his strategy. Play in moderation, let your opponent come towards you. Put up a stalwart defense. The second round begins and Ikeda is almost struck in the chest again before letting his opponent overextend and striking him on the side of his head. Point 2 goes to Ikeda. The final round begins and Ikeda knows his opponent hasn't learned a thing. Feign a strike, withdraw. Feign a strike, withdraw. Get his guard down, let him think you're a fool. Ikeda thought to himself. His opponent lunges for the chest again, but Ikeda parries him away and wins the final point, courtesy of a straight strike onto his torso. Now, young man, do you see the value of moderation? The populist nods his head in approval as the audience applauds and Ikeda extends a hand to his defeated opponent. That is wisdom in moderation. Well, that sounds interesting. Can't say I wouldn't agree. So with the Navy being taken care of, and wow, we're gonna get a lot of technologies very soon. Industry Management 4, that's gonna give us extra production units. Industrial Robotics, extra production efficiency and factory output. Nice. Resource Extraction, that's also a pretty good one. How's the construction going? We're finishing last infrastructure projects in Niigata and in Saitama and in Fukushima. And we're building a school in Tokyo. Office coverage is giving us a decent political cover. That's good. Okay, government stability went down, but public support is 42 now. I think we can do the campaign now. Okay, so House of Peers support is now 50.5%. Public support 45%. 66 base government stability. Why? Huh. Anti-guerrilla activities have been finished. So let us go and get to the next one, which is anti-guerrilla activities 2. And we lost some production units. So let's remove that. Is it not recalculated? But also this is a little bit of a bullshit, because if we now get a 5% hit, I actually just spend my political power fruitlessly. No, I mean, I was actually thinking that Yeah, it just increases somewhat. It doesn't say by 5%, so, you know. What was I expecting? Well, at least we're gonna offset it a little bit. It's not an issue. Okay, we barely have any Air Force drillings going on at all anymore, which is good. Industry Management 4 has been finished. Nice. So we're gonna get more industrial units. Now the policy effectiveness, few max buildings in the state, factory output. Let's get the consumer goods production efficiency 4. I think that helps with a lot of modifiers. Even more prevalent these days is the rise in technology and machinery in the day-to-day lives of our citizens and the items they obtain, which have proven to be effective for them but will take a toll on our factories to produce. Therefore, refining production will help better prepare for the mass production of these personal devices. Does it say here what they do? I don't think... Consumer goods... Conscription policy... Income taxes, court effects, Navy... Not entirely sure. J.B. Kripalani becomes ROI Prime Minister. The Congress Organization Coalition has come to power in the Indian Emergency General Election. Okay. Still no conflict here, that's kinda interesting. Yeah. Agrarian socialism. Oh no. Why? Oh my god. Well, there goes my good plans. Coalition has come to power in the Indian Emergency General Elections led by J.B. Kripalani's Congress. By promising to adhere strongly to Mahatma Gandhi's original vision of a Republic of Thousand Villages, focusing on rural development and self-governance, spokesmen for the party indicate that the general plan of the coalition will be for the Gandhians to focus on the rural majority in the country, while the rightists will focus on the urban areas and general economy, while maintaining the primacy of the organization Socialists, which carries the vote in most states. Meanwhile, the former Congress led by Shastri has not yet issued a statement. Already several key MPs that had formerly been associated with them have begun defecting to the Gandhians, indicating a seismic shift in the focal point of West Indian politics. Where this new government will go remains to be seen. An India true to Gandhi's wishes, but is it true to the people's? And Civil War in Indonesia. Yep, it fractured completely. Holy hell. The long bubbling cauldron in Indonesia has finally exploded. After a brief disappearance from Jakarta, Vice President Mohammed Hatta emerged in Sumatra with a clique of rebel generals to lead the Free Government of the Republic of Indonesia, PRIM. The Free Government's goal is to end President Sukarno's rule, which they see as dictatorial in light of increasing centralization. The PRIM seeks to return to the 1949 Hatta's Chahir constitution, which promises more autonomy to Indonesia's far-flung lands. The Free Government has also condemned what they see as Sukarno's over-servile attitude toward the Japanese. As violent clashes break out all across the country, it has become clear that Japan has once again failed at preventing armed conflict in their sphere. Bullets fly across sleepy villages as brother fight against brother. The Indonesian Civil War has begun. So even monkeys fall from trees. We prefer independence with the poverty to servitude with plenty. Seco to rare. The Pacific Allight. Well, okay. So do we have a foreign? No, we don't. Okay, so the game is gonna drag us into it soon, but not now. Government stability is a measure of general confidence and unity. Ensuring our faction maintains a plurality of the Diet secures the confidence of the House of Peers and succeeds in passing legislation. Indonesia ablaze. Another crisis begins. The office of the Prime Minister was engulfed in cacophony, as aides and officers flowed in and out of the caverns office in an unending stream. Some brought news from the embassy in Jakarta describing sporadic shooting on the streets and political pandemonium. Others carried reports from the Japanese bases on the archipelago, where guards pointed their weapons nervously at the no man's land surrounding them. Prime Minister Ikeda Masanosuke fought down the urge to retch at the thought of Sukarno. The man's proclamation of martial law and the nationalization of Japanese assets had been a knife in the back on top of the fallout from Yasuda, and those with short memories had been barely restrained in their glee at Sukarno's misfortune. The more circumspect among them had already called for caution. Was now the time to be spending treasure on another foreign adventure? Those with longer memories, or those who had access to the military and foreign minister briefings, were far less cavalier with their response. The strategists swallowed whatever unhappiness they had for Sukarno in the face of Indonesia's coming undone, exposing the soft underbelly of the co-prosperity sphere. The generals angrily pointed to reports of Japanese troops being called on to join the fight in some of the contested cities in Sumatra, haranguing the Prime Minister if they would let Japanese blood to be spilled without consequences. And then there were the Americans and Australians. They'd had their fingers in Indonesia for years, and they would surely not let this crisis go to waste. Or worse, what assurance was there that the chaos wasn't one of their grand designs to bring Japan to its knees? Another crisis begins. Okay, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that very soon. Iberia wants us to release the Timor prisoners. An interesting message has found its way to our government from Madrid. It's riddled with minor errors, endless verbosity, and seems to try and say the same message repeatedly. Phrased more like a legal document than a communication, it gives the impression that the writer cared more about closing up any potential loopholes as opposed to just giving a message. Whatever their motivation, the message itself is still legible, remarkably. Indonesia has imprisoned the garrison of the former Portuguese holding in Timor, which we liberated on our march southwards, and Iberia wants them back. We have been redirected from our client state because, allegedly, we control their prisoner management. Ignoring that this isn't true, for the sake of maintaining an honorable reputation, they will need to be given a response. All that needs to be said is whether or not they'll be allowed to take them home. It's not a hard proposal to stomach, provided they provide transport. Of course, Indonesia might not approve, and strong-arming them into releasing the prisoners may be more trouble than it's worth. As long as they take them home, no, we won't release them. I mean, what's our relations? Well, they're not great. I mean, as long as they take them home, we don't have a reason to be mad at them. Okay, so what's going on here? Oh, snap. So, the Indonesian Civil War. Once again, the southern resource area is under threat. Sukarno and the Indonesians are facing a massive revolt of rebels and disloyal military cliques all across the archipelago. And the greedy imperialists in Australia and the Olafan once more sense an opportunity to break into the sphere and take the mineral wealth of the islands for themselves. For the good of East Asia, we must not allow this to happen. We will make sure Sukarno has the resources he needs to take care of this nonsense. Our support will be backed up with the words and supplies. If need be, we will have to fight this conflict ourselves. East Asia needs Indonesia at all cost. Okay. So discontent rises. Conflict escalates. So we can send aerial and naval patrols, send our surplus equipment, protect Japanese installations, deploy special military mission, escalate Pan-Asian rhetoric, forgive Indonesian debt, renegotiate national assets, embrace recognition of the NKRI, increase garrisons. Discontent will increase. So if I understand this correctly, we need to keep discontent low and escalation up, I guess. What's the political situation? Because I saw that we have... Okay, so these guys are our enemies. We have a bunch of local nations in here. A military council. Interesting that they're not at war yet. So we cannot send volunteers. But we could send support. So we could send... Yeah, this increases escalation and discontent. So that's not a great way to go. Aerial and naval... Okay, that would give them reconnaissance. Deploy special military mission. Every faction member, division attack and organization. Escalate Pan-Asian rhetoric. Forgive Indonesian debt. Well, I guess right now we're gonna wait and see what's gonna happen. Cause I'm not entirely sure what to do with this. Unless a war breaks out, we can't really help. Government victory in Haiti. After years of socialist insurgency in Haiti, the Olafant-backed government under Leon Cantava has finally beaten back the anti-government rebels. Through great determination, sheer brute force, and American backing, the Haitian government has beaten its greatest existential threat since the Dominican seizure of Hincha. As the smoke clears, the Haitian leadership has thanked the Americans for their support and has begun measures to secure their rule and to re-earn support among the local populace. As the Dominican Republic has been the PPLN's greatest supporter, though not always intentionally, the eastern half of the island has been eyeing the situation with concern. Now that the one nation they've treated antagonistically is free of their draining insurgency and has stronger support from the Olafant than ever before. America won't give up its grip that easily. Okay, well, good for them, I guess. Crossing the lines. Good morning, gentlemen. It's good to see you all again. It would be great if we got the point of this meeting, so Hatoyama, please address the agenda. Facing Ikeda Masanosuke in his cabinet, larger veterans of the Diet, and some new fresh faces. Most important were Sato Eisaku, Sakurauchi Yoshio, Ezaki Masumi, and Hatoyama Ichiro. Important moderates and frosted, non-corrupt deputies from the Ino era. Ikeda has worked for and against members of this cabinet in the past, but what's done is done. What matters now is the formation of a strong, unified front. Opposition be damned. Thank you, Daijin. Regarding the governmental situation, we have a stable mandate over the lower house. However, the upper house is an entirely different story. Trust is important, especially given how Ino threw away their faith in the Diet moderates. Ikeda knows that swaying the nobles and the peers would be an uphill struggle, that uptight bastard Kido be damned. Unfortunately, Ikeda's mandate relies on their support. If Kido is left alone to lobby the House of Peers, passing legislation would be difficult, if not impossible. What about the Kazoku? Can they be convinced? Interjected Ikeda. Daijin, lobbying the Kazoku would be inadvisable. If they even think that we're pressuring or cajoling them, we're dead. We're not going to pressure them. It would be more like appealing to their better natures. Either this works or our administration will be dead in the water. Ikeda knows the risk, but decades of parliamentary wrangling has made him bold enough to take the fight upwards. The lines between the conservatives and the Kazoku would finally be crossed, and there is little chance to turn back once it has been done. Table for further at the Kanakute, please. Okay, so what does this do? We lost 5% of support in the House of Peers. Government stability is now back down to 47%. But, this opens the way for us to go with golfing with the Dovakai and then tea time with the Dosekai. And that will give us 7.5% support, and then we get 75, 90 political power. And the bicameral cooperation will now be actually good because we have enough MPs to pass whatever we want. So it's not like we cannot do it. So let's start with the stronger boost. Golfing with the Dovekai. The Dovekai is one of the associations of peers in the Imperial Diet. Catering mostly to independents and affiliates of the old Menseito, the Dovekai is one of the 2 such associations that might be sensible to an alliance with the Prime Minister. A friendly game of golf with some of the representatives should be enough to get their negotiations started. Cool. Okay, so on that note, we are gonna end this. Indonesia has finally collapsed. I was expecting that this whole time, so we'll see what's gonna happen with it in the next episode. Also, what's gonna happen with our government, because if we can get these 7.5% in the House of Peer support won't drop, we are actually in a pretty good spot then. With the government stability going above 50, hopefully, with the House of Peer support increasing, we could finally start investing a little bit of political power back into the economy, because we really need to finish up the reforms. I've been eyeing some of these, like, privatization of the state assets for quite a time now. Reducing military spending, minimum wage reform, which will increase poverty rate. Yep, there is a lot of things that we can do here. So, thank you very much. See you in the next one.